The investigation started on June 8th, 1992.
Police in Phoenix, Arizona were asked to solve the mystery of a limb found in a dumpster. From just a small body part, archaeologists, toxicologists, and DNA scientists pieced together enough information about the victim to lead police to the killer.
Well, another day of dumpster diving and looking for new treasures. What's over here? Nothing. Alright. Anything in here? No, nada. Huh. Let's just look in this trash can. Can? Wait, what's this?
I think it's a leg.
Oh. Better go report this to the police. Officer, I found this foot.
Where'd you find
Here
it?
you go. Found it in a dumpster near a store.
Alright, well, we'll give this to, like, I don't know, DNA testers and see if there's any more evidence,
Oh,
of who it is or anything, okay?
okay. Bye, officer.
Like, please?
They searched every dumpster in the entire city, but they came up empty-handed, without a lead to go on. It was also shown that the leg was of a male Caucasian between 30 and 40 years of age. On the knee, the most prominent feature was surgical scars, which you could identify someone by. It appeared to be from a male between the ages of 30 and 40. The cut was very clean, which ruled out the possibility of it being an industrial accident. Also, who would throw out their missing leg in a dumpster after an industrial accident? After an anthropologist measured the femur, it was proven to be the victim was 6 feet tall. He had a possible connection to methamphetamine and marijuana because both of them were found in his system. Notice that we're saying possibility a lot, because there's not a lot of information with just a leg alone. A few days after the tests were completed, a lady came in asking for a missing persons report because she lost her boyfriend. Her boyfriend's name was Norman Klaus. He matched the description perfectly, with him being a 32-year-old male, 6 feet tall, and who had undergone knee surgery. They wanted to do a paternity test to see if he was a match, but they could not do it because he was adopted. It was later found out that he was a methamphetamine dealer, among other drugs. A reverse paternity test works by finding similarities in the DNA coding between the subject and the subject's father. Sometimes he made the meth himself, but shh, don't tell anybody, that's a secret. Hey, how you doing?
What you doing there?
Making some meth?
Oh. Oh. Cool.
You want some?
No.
Ah, darn. In order to make sure that the leg was Norman's, they went to a hospital where he once donated a kidney to his sister, and then they cross-examined it. It turned out to be 99.1% likely that it was, in fact, Norman's leg. A few weeks before the leg was found, he had recently had a falling out with his former partner and meth chef named Graham King. They had started to become drug rivals. Graham King's house was an impenetrable fortress, with cameras looking over every inch of his house, a 4-inch thick steel front door, 2 Rottweilers guarding the back door, a barbed wire fence surrounding the perimeter of the house. The windows and doors were reinforced with steel bars, and to top it all off, gun ports that dotted the majority of the walls in the house. Graham King enjoyed collecting weapons. He had throwing stars, knives, guns, swords, explosives, and more, with all of them dating from current day to the early 1800s. There was almost one in every square foot of his house. like inside doors, walls, and especially made cupboards. Finally, they found large amounts of methamphetamine and marijuana in his house.
These are the weapons we found in his closet. There's, along with hundreds of others. Yeah, hundreds.
When they finally got inside of his house, they found some interesting things. First of all, it was noticed that the house had got a new coat of paint. Both the smell and the walls pointed to it. Also, there was an odor of bleach that perpetrated throughout the kitchen. Finally, behind the kitchen table, there was a single drop of red liquid, which was presumed to be blood after a Kastle-Meyer test, which reacts to the iron in blood, turning the liquid pink. When comparing the DNA in the blood stain to the DNA in the leg, it showed that they were identical, proving that Norman was at Graham's house recently and that he was bleeding. There was a man who called the police station. His name was Troy Killip. He said that he may have information as to the whereabouts of Norman Claus. Finally, the police had an actual testimony from someone who saw suspicious activity of Graham. He stated that while he was working on a car in front of Graham's yard, he saw two men enter, presumably Norman Claus and Graham King, and one man leave a few hours afterwards. He stated that Graham looked pretty on edge both before and after he went in the house. Inside of the house, there was a lot of screaming and pounding until there was an eerie silence.
A bunch of screaming, scuffling. I heard somebody yell, "Well, kill me, just kill me." And the man screamed my name. I heard the gunshot, the whole deal. I heard him cutting the man up with an axe. I don't know for a fact because I can't visualize it, but I can reconcile with the sounds and the things that I heard. You know, and he'll never lose it.
When he went inside to collect his tools, he detected the same smell as the investigators did in his statement, quote-unquote. When I went in, I could smell nothing but heavy-duty pine sol everywhere, end quote, showing that the pine sol wasn't a stench that happened after the murder.
When was the last time you saw Norman Claus?
Last time I saw Norman Claus was when I was working on my... Well, last time I saw or last time anyone saw?
You saw.
Last time I saw him? Alright, last time I saw him, I was working on my car, and he went into a house.
Did anyone... Wait, who came out of the house?
Some dude.
Did he come out?
No, Norman never came out.
Alright.
When this case went to court, Troy refused to testify because in the neighborhood that he lived in, drugs were very prominent, which meant that he had witnessed firsthand what people do to the people who talk to the police. To this day, he would have been a key piece in solving the mystery of the missing trash leg. The case got thrown out of court because Graham King died of a heart attack. This recreation represents the timeline of court hearings and the judge's opinion on the matter.
Court in session. Charges dropped by reason of death. Smoothies, anyone?
Summary. A man dumpster diving comes across a leg in a dumpster. When he brings it to police, they are stumped, so they inform the public, asking if they know anything. When they come up with a person whose boyfriend is missing, she says that he does this a lot, but it's usually not so very long, so the girlfriend starts to get worried. The man fits the description of the leg. They get a call from the neighbor of Norman's rival saying that he saw two men enter a house and one man leave after a large fight. He refuses to testify in fear of his life. Graham ends up dying anyway because of a heart attack after the court trial. In conclusion, we are surprised that this case did not get very much press. Sure, it took place in the 80s, but it's about how investigators took so much information from a leg. They got age, height, hair color, and drug use, all from a small part of your body with no vital organs at all. It is also pretty funny to see and picture the reaction of a guy dumpster diving and finding a leg. In our opinion, the most interesting part of the case was how fortified his house was and how many guns he had total.